The Galactic Defense Academy's briefing hall smelled of ozone and alien pride. It was a grand chamber, 300 seats carved into tiered obsidian, filled with cadets from 47 species. Vorkai with their bioluminescent crests. Then Hari with triple-jointed limbs folded neatly beneath their desks. Sirith who communicated partially through color shifts in their skin. All of them elite. All of them chosen. All of them convinced that the human sitting in the third row, second seat from the left, was some kind of administrative error. Her name was Mara Ellison. She didn't look like much. That was the first thing every alien noticed. Medium height. Brown hair pulled into a tight braid. Pale scar running from her left jaw to the corner of her mouth. She wore her academy uniform the same way she wore everything, like it was mildly inconvenient but ultimately irrelevant. She had arrived 2 days ago with a single bag, introduced herself to no one in particular, and spent her first evening doing something the other cadets found deeply unsettling, sitting quietly and reading a physical book. Commander Zyrex had reviewed her file 3 times before her arrival. He was Vorkai, 7 feet of layered muscle and iridescent scale, with 4 decades of military command across 6 star systems. His crest, normally a deep violet, shifted toward red when something displeased him. He had commanded siege operations. He had broken enemy formations across 3 galactic theaters. He was, by every measurable metric, extraordinary. And the file in front of him made him deeply uncomfortable. He set it down the morning of the first tactical session. "We will begin," he said, his translator rendering his clicks and harmonics into standard galactic common, with a review of field records. "All cadets have submitted operational histories. We will discuss them as a unit." The cadets shuffled. Some pulled up holographic displays. Mara Ellison folded her hands on the desk. Zyrex worked through the records methodically. A Vorkai cadet with 40 confirmed combat engagements. A Then-Hari sniper with impressive long-range precision tallies. A Sirith infiltrator whose record listed 72 successful extractions. Each was reviewed with professional acknowledgement. Then he reached the human's file. He paused. His crest flickered, just slightly, before settling back into professional violet. "Ellison," he said. "Sir," she said. "Your file lists your confirmed hostile neutralizations as..." He stopped. "Read it again." His crest flickered harder this time. 417. The hall went very, very quiet. Then someone, a young Vorkai cadet named Drexus, seated near the back, whose crest was still the bright gold of someone who had never yet seen real war, let out a sound that translated roughly as a laugh. 417, Drexus repeated, loudly enough to carry. "Commander, is this a joke the humans put in their own files? Some kind of cultural humor?" Several other cadets made sounds of agreement. Amusement. Disbelief. Mara Ellison didn't turn around. Zyrex looked at her. "Cadet Ellison. Your file has been questioned. You are permitted to respond." She was quiet for exactly 3 seconds. Then she stood up. She didn't do it dramatically. She didn't slam her chair back or throw out her chest. She just stood. And something happened in the room that none of the cadets could quite articulate afterward. The temperature didn't change, the lights didn't shift, but something moved through the air like a current, and several of the more instinct-driven species felt the ancient, wire-deep animal part of their nervous systems whisper a single word. "Predator." 417, she said. "That's confirmed." The actual number the unit tracked was higher, but we only count what we can verify. My commanding officer was strict about documentation. Drexus's crest was still partially gold. Still partially amused. That is a number that would take most operatives 3 careers to approach. I did it in 6 years. Silence. "That's," Drexus started. "I was deployed at 19, Mara said, not raising her voice, not lowering it. Just speaking. 3 years in Standard Special Forces. Then I was recruited into a black classification unit that doesn't have a public name. We operated in denied territory. No extraction guarantee. No support infrastructure. You go in, you complete the objective, you come out if you can. She paused. Or you don't. Commander Zyrex had gone very still. The first 2 years, she continued, my team had 6 members. After year 1, we had 3. After year 2, we had 1. A beat. I was the one. The Sirith cadet in the front row had gone completely colorless. I was reassigned, given a new team, and deployed again. 3 more years. Different theaters. Desert, Arctic, urban subsurface, orbital insertion, twice. The count grew because the work required it, not because I was hunting numbers. She looked at Drexus directly for the first time. Her eyes were a very ordinary brown. They were also completely flat. Does that answer the question about whether it's a joke? Drexus's crest had turned white. Commander Zyrex let the silence sit for exactly as long as it needed to. He was Vorkai. He understood silence as communication. Cadet Ellison, he said finally, what was your survival rate on denied territory operations? 100%, she said. That is, he said, carefully, not a number that appears in any other operational record in this academy's history. I know, she said. I checked the database last night. She sat back down and folded her hands again. The simulation exercise came 3 days later. The Academy's combat simulations were considered the most sophisticated in the galactic community, full sensory immersion, adaptive enemy AI, environmental variables calibrated to each species' optimal stress threshold. The goal was not to win. The goal was to assess decision-making under pressure. Most cadets, Zyrex had found, lasted between 4 and 11 minutes before the simulation registered critical failure. The record was 14 minutes, 22 seconds. Held by a Vorkai cadet from 9 years ago. Mara Ellison entered the simulation at 0900. The monitoring team watched her feeds in real time. She moved differently than other cadets. Most species, even experienced ones, moved against the environment. They fought their way through, imposed themselves on the space. Mara moved with it. She used corners the way water uses cracks. She went still at exactly the right moments, in ways that made the AI's threat detection algorithms genuinely struggle, because she wasn't suppressing her movements so much as she was suppressing her presence, that particular quality of occupying space that living things broadcast constantly without realizing it. One of the Venhari monitoring technicians leaned toward another and said, very quietly, it's like watching something that has decided not to be seen. At 11 minutes, she had cleared the first 3 objective zones. At 17 minutes, she passed the old record. Commander Zyrex stood at the monitoring panel with his arms folded and his crest fully, deeply violet. Not displeasure. The other color. The one his species showed when experiencing something they had not expected and could not fully categorize. She finished the simulation at 31 minutes and 48 seconds. Not because the simulation ended. Because she completed every objective and reached the extraction point, which the simulation's designers had included as a theoretical endpoint that no cadet had ever actually reached before. She walked out of the simulation chamber and blinked in the light. Zyrex was waiting. Cadet Ellison, he said. Commander, she said. He was quiet for a moment. His crest moved through 3 colors he rarely showed in sequence: respect, recalibration, and something that translated poorly into most languages but meant roughly, I was wrong about the shape of the world, and I am adjusting. Your record, he said, was not a joke. No sir, she said. I owe you an institutional apology for the manner in which it was received. She looked at him steadily. I don't need an apology, sir. I need the cadets in that room to understand what they're going to face if they ever work alongside humans or opposite them. She paused. We're not impressive looking. I know that. We're soft. We're small. We don't have natural armor or redundant organs or biological weaponry. Another pause. What we have is the capacity to decide, completely and without remainder, that we are not going to stop. And we have 6 million years of being the most dangerous thing on our planet telling us that the decision works. Zyrex looked at her for a long moment. Tomorrow, he said, I am restructuring the tactical curriculum. Good, said Mara Ellison. She picked up her water canteen, took a drink, and walked back toward the dormitories to finish her book. That night, in the common room, Drexus, crest still slightly paler than it used to be, asked one of the Thenhari cadets what they thought of the human. The Thenhari was quiet for a moment. I think, it said finally, that we should all be very glad she is on our side. In the third row, second seat from the left, the chair sat empty. Mara Ellison was already asleep. She had, as always, positioned her bed facing the door.